Good evening, Shuffle Bus Nation. What is up? It's your boy Jesse back here as always with my good friend and co-host Neil. Neil, how the hell are you today, man?
I'm good. I don't know, a little like just run down kind of.
And I've been feeling
Been
that this week too. So I'm blaming it on the checks I had to write to Uncle Sam this week. So
oh yeah.
I won't talk any more about it than that because otherwise I just might have to go drink a whole bottle of whiskey. So, but yeah, we're back with another week of Shuffle Bus action. We're going to talk a little bit about the Stoneblade announcement, which honestly I missed. To be really frank about it, we were just talking about it pre-show here, and I didn't see it. I don't know where it was
It's
posted, but I think that's a big problem.
it was like just a Discord message.
Okay. See
I'm
it.
gonna I took a screen grab of it and sent it to you
Okay.
to show on the stream. But uh it had two erratas and then a like what their stance on Mad Lab is going to be, at least for the time being.
Okay.
Um which I don't think a lot of people are happy with, but
Well, I mean,
uh,
I mean, obviously, I've not read this, so this will be a live react, obviously, for me. But um, the other side of that, regardless, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Is we do have some fun stuff coming on the back of the show today, which we get to watch Core duke it out with Ank for
right,
round
which is
two.
it's going to be absolutely great to have some gameplay on here, and
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's our goal when we run these league events like this, and we do it when we do our single days where we do a big giant stream with all of the coverage. So we're hoping with these league events that we can continue to do this, where we bring more and more um, gameplay week in and week out on our live pod. Obviously, we've got some news to talk about here on the front end that I'm sure will eat up all of our time, but the just kind of one of those things. So obviously. We're in round two of the qualifier, and we both have played our rounds. Neil, you want to talk about how yours went this week?
I played a very close game with Eric,
Okay.
who I met at Indy. Just a very nice man and anesthesiologist, Eric Rocco.
He did put you to sleep.
Um,
That on
and
purpose.
he we played a close game, and I think he won because of the number of times he activated Necromancer, which is crazy to me because I didn't think that that was like uh a real win condition that way. At least I've never in a game that I've played yet in my short career had that kind of experience. I know that Necromancer is very good because of the level 3 ability where you just play a card for free,
Hmm.
but he ended up getting like four activations of the level, well, combined of level 1 and 2,
Nice.
and just kind of like had more good cards to play than me at the end of the game. And also, I didn't have a way to deal with the Z-Miss. I had like a 40/40 Groot Guardian or something.
Yeah.
And so the left lane was just like giant Groot Guardian versus Z-Miss level 3 for
That's
like the
rough.
whole game.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, neither one did anything to the other really, because
Right.
the Groot Guardian like kept growing and didn't die, and the Z-Miss obviously never died. So we just played like a 4 lane game the
Right.
rest of it.
Yeah. That does happen sometimes when you're in the realm of creature combat for wins. I think. I
It just, Z-Miss in particular, you need very specific cards to deal with, which involves like uh a Botanimate specifically, or one of the silence guys,
right.
or a breakthrough card. None of which I had. So they just sat there and looked at each other, and um Eric ended up getting the better of me in the rest of the game. That was just like a weird thing that I had not experienced yet, uh, as well, where just like one lane is kind of locked down because neither person wants to replace.
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, it's interesting to see that happen. Obviously, it narrows the game down, and that may favor one deck over another when you're down to just working off of 4 lanes for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that specific interaction I think was very equal. I mean, eventually he would have gotten the better of me there, right? Like the Zemus will win that fight eventually,
Mm-hmm.
but we went to the end of the game like elsewhere before it happened. So uh I think that was just like a 1-for-1 card exchange.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was just kind of a weird situation. But it was a great game. Eric is just super nice individual, so I had a good time playing him, and I hope he continues to do well in the rest of
Obviously,
the tournament.
yeah. If you can do well, and Eric continues to do well, then a second round loss is not going to keep you out of potential top cuts. I mean, obviously, you have to probably win out from here with a top 4 cut in this tournament, but
Oh
that's
yeah, I mean it's gonna be very difficult for me to make top four. I think. If I win every match, then that's fine. But I mean that's my plan anyway, right? Like
yeah. You go into
I
it
don't
wanting
I
to win
don't
every
I don't
match.
care about tiebreakers in round two.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Eric, he's participated in a couple of Shuffle Bus tournaments now, and is
yep.
we're happy to see the ongoing competitors returning. Obviously, we know the league events aren't for everybody, and we know that single days aren't for everybody. That's why we do both. So, yeah, I hope we can get as many players as possible to dive into these 2 formats as we move on throughout the year this year. But it's been nice. I mean, everybody got done a little early in round 1, so we advanced round 2 early. We'll do the same thing for round 2
Yeah.
if it
Well,
gets finished up.
oh my God, isn't it? Like I know it's been a long time since we've run one of these like multi-day round type events,
Yeah,
but man, it feels good to get done early.
it does, and
We were getting to a point where people were not even like they just wouldn't even finish their round in the time allotted at the
yes,
end of our Ashes career, and that was very frustrating. So thank you
yeah.
everyone who has been uh prompt, and I
I
hope
mean,
no one has had any trouble getting a hold of their opponents. I haven't heard of anyone yet, but obviously if you do have trouble contacting your opponent, please let one of us know.
yeah. I mean, as a TO for one of these events, the worst place for me to be in is on Sunday night at 9 o'clock, having to ping players and be like, did you play and just forget to report? Because that can happen.
Yeah.
Did you not play, and is somebody conceding to the other player? I mean, like there's a million scenarios that play out. Not a million, obviously, but there's a handful of scenarios that play out there, and each one of them requires legwork as the TO. So I just appreciate everybody's promptness. Whether or not you get done early or not in a particular week, that's not the. I don't want anybody to feel pressured in that sense, but I definitely appreciate it when it does happen, and I just appreciate that everybody's getting their rounds in on time. That's the biggest thing I can say when we run these longer drawn out tournaments like this. Um,
Yeah, it's
but
great.
so I got to play another Lincoln native, Neil. So I'm like going through my local group here, and I got to play Tater Tot Eat a Lot Joel on the Discords. I love Joel. He is a pleasure to play a game with, and we had a great time, but it wasn't really close. I just got annihilated by Sonic Burst and a suppressing and stabilizing lineup. And having stabilizing Alamancer is just extremely powerful. Um,
Yeah, both those cards are very good.
so
Well, I mean, the adjective and the noun are both very good. So
yeah. So I was just kind of in a position where his Sonic Burst 3-for-1 me twice, and there was no way I could play around it. He either had it or he didn't have it, and I said that in one of our in like my round 3 play. I needed to protect my Oak Fathers in order to do a big Dark Forge drain in the next turn because I hadn't drawn my Force Sealer Mantis, and so I used my Cycle 3 ability to give them 8 armor so that they would survive their combats. And if he had the level 3 Sonic Burst there, I lose. And that's what happened. I didn't lose specifically right there on the spot. Obviously, it took going all the way to time and ending round 3 of a cycle, ending turn 3 of cycle 4 and just losing on the health disparity. And the final health totals were like within 9 of each other, but that really isn't an indicator of how that game went, which was just me being completely on my back heel for the entire game and not able to really gain battlefield advantage or control of the battlefield in a way that let me utilize the effects that I had on my Oros to any sort of real value. I think the best I got out of Dark Forge Drain in that entire match was an 11-point breakthrough. That just tells you everything about how rough that match was. And
yeah, if he's got a stabilizing guy, like that's obviously extremely good against you.
yeah, I mean,
Like this,
and to be fair, like Brandon in week 1, he had stabilizing and suppressing as well, and I was able to play through those in week 1, but I was able to do that on the heels of like I could still flood other lanes really well, and Sonic Burst just destroyed my ability to do that, and I just couldn't materialize anything after that. Like it was just really difficult to play those kinds of things. It didn't help that a number of the spells I upgraded in cycle 1 I didn't see again until in some cases cycle 4. So it just put me on the back foot, and a number of Joel's plays put me in a position where I didn't get to use some of my key spells like Dissonant Siphon, and then Dissonant Siphon was underleveled, which is a real problem as the game goes on. So, or not Dissonant Siphon, sorry, Vyric's Embrace, my bad. So yeah, it was a fun match, and I mean I think the final life total separation was like 9 points of life or something, but that's just not indicative of the way that match went. I didn't connect to Joel until he was at 50 until turn 2 of cycle 4. I just never touched him. I couldn't touch him. Like I just couldn't outstrip all things he's doing. I mean, and obviously he had a Rumble Boy in that deck as well. So, I was fighting on another axis where he was just gaining incremental advantage off of Rumble Spark over and over again as well.
it's interesting. I haven't seen Joel's list, but
It was very. I mean, I think it's a very competitive list, and Alamancer works in a lot of ways.
I'm just interested in how he flips the Rumble.
He does it through just a more traditional flood of elementals. He doesn't do it like any elemental in any lane dealing damage triggers the Rumble Spark.
Right.
So
right.
he just has a density of elementals in the deck that works out extremely well for him, and it just becomes very difficult to guard all lanes from all elementals essentially. And so like the first time he activated on me was because I couldn't block all of his elementals, and so I had to let a 1/4 spell sprite go through for 1 damage to me, which was enough to bring the unit up. And it's just is what it is. And I had lots of ways of sort of making the Rumble Boy just sort of linger while I played little wisps and things like that to like offset that. But I mean, it didn't. I was not focused on killing the Rumble Spark. I'll say that much. Right? It was never the focus of my plan was that. So it's just another example of like efficiency that will eventually get you right. Like it's just like playing an extra card essentially. And while it's not the Dark Heart synergy, it's still very powerful, even if it's not being fully leveraged like a Dark Heart version would be. I think that's the main takeaway. I think he had 3 or 4 elementals in the deck and had like 5 or 6 mages in the deck to take advantage of the Alamancers. So like the decks were just rolled really nicely with each other in that respect. And then again, Sonic Burst just being an MVP, 3 for 1 me twice, once in cycle 2. He didn't play it in cycle 1, like he didn't draw it in cycle 1, but he got like a Steel Rosetta upgrade off of it to call it in on cycle 2 exactly when he needed it to. And then
I mean that card is very good.
Yeah,
like it's.
Yeah, I actually don't own one. I and all of my decks I've owned, I don't have a single Sonic Burst. Like It's kind of
Right. I don't think I
wild.
do either. I'm not sure.
So I was
At
looking
least not in
through.
a deck that is any good.
Yeah, because I was looking through like my blues. Like I'm like, well, maybe need to reevaluate some of this. And honestly, like, yeah, no, I don't have one. So it is what it is. The I mean, I think Joel's deck is really strong. We'll see how it carries out in the rest of the tournament as it gets into potentially better collection decks. Some of the top tier players, having better collection decks than even I have, and I think that my purple half is still a spell shy in this build, and I mean, it is what it is. I think it's the one of the better decks I can put together. I do want to continue to try to explore the Drix deck. I'm just not exactly sure how to do that at this particular moment in time. I'm not sure what's a great pairing with that Drix at this point, but yeah, that's where it's at. So let's get into the announcement. Obviously, both of us losing this week is unfortunate. I want to see you succeed, and I'm hoping the rest of your
I don't
tournament goes well.
feel bad at all about the game that I played with Eric. Like it was just a good game. And he came out on top, and that happens, right? Like
Joel saying I had the game if I didn't draw some of those cards on time. I think Joel. I think that's true in Solforge, but I think that in that matchup you're probably favored 60 or 65% of the time. I mean, I think I can win some games. I can take some games from you over time. Like, we play enough examples of that game, and I'll win some. But I think you'll win the majority of those games. I don't think you'll lose the majority or even split 50-50 with me on that. So I just think it's really hard for me to overcome the power of Sonic Burst and the power of suppressing and stabilizing in a deck that's built on, like, going tall, essentially. So, yeah. So, but I love the game. It was fun, and Joel makes it a pleasure to do it. So while you're losing, you're like, I'm losing, but I'm having fun losing to this man right now. So it worked out well. Yeah, but let's talk about this announcement. I'm going to put it up on screen. Let's kind of dive into this a little bit. I'm gonna read it because I haven't read it. So, and for those of you that maybe missed this, because I feel like I'm trying to be plugged in, but honestly, like, life gets in the way.
I don't even know. I don't even know where it was posted. Ryan linked it to me. It is in apparently it's in Solforge rules
Okay.
from
So
April 18th.
so this is from N Fletcher, who I believe is the rules guy for
Yes,
Soulforge.
he's the
I don't know his first name. I'm assuming it's a Nate or Nick or something. But
I don't know. I don't know
Soulforge
either. They call him Fletcher. So
Fletcher, yeah. So Fletcher says, "Hello, Forger. Soulforge Fusion Ultimate Championships at TCGCon Denver is on May 20th. We want to address a few topics to give players enough notice so they can adjust for the upcoming event. With the release of the expanded rules, 2 cards need an errata to function correctly. The first card is level 3 Blight Witch. Since you have to choose spells you play before you play them, in the current rules, a player would have to set aside a specific number of spells they wish to play in their hand before playing them. This functionally makes the card quite clunky in play, and so level 3 Blight Witch will be receiving the following errata. Activate, destroy another one of your creatures to make spells free to play from your hand this action step." Okay. I mean, this is a clarity thing, right? And I think everybody understood how the card was supposed to function. I don't think there was a question on that. But maybe there was at some high level game, like Blight Witch just doesn't work, and somebody tried to rules lawyer it. I don't really know. This change allows players to play spells from their hand for free without the enemy player knowing how many spells the player wishes to play, and avoids the clunkiness of setting aside the spells that are technically still in your hand. The second card is Grimgaunt Harvester. This is a set 2 card at all 3 levels. Grimgaunt
yeah,
Harvester.
let's break down the Blight Witch real quick before we
Okay.
move on to
Yeah,
Grimgaunt, because
fine.
they're very different situations.
Okay.
The Blight Witch thing, I mean, it does functionally change how Blight Witch works. Which is fine. Like, I don't know what the intent of Blight Witch was when they designed it, right?
Sure. I mean,
but
well, let me ask you a question. Do you think it functionally changes the way Blight Witch works from a rule? Obviously, from a rules perspective, it does, but from how it was being played.
from how it was being played, no.
Yeah.
From how it functions in the game, yes. So
Sure.
if they ever print a card that puts a spell in, like a spell that puts a spell into your hand, whether it draws a card or returns a spell to your hand from banish or something. In its old wording, you would not be able to play a card you drew off of a spell you played with Blight Witch.
Sure.
Now you can.
Right.
So that's a very big difference in the case that as future design happens, there are spells that have the potential to draw other spells.
And that could happen with Mind Over Matter with Crux, right? Like,
it did slightly change Mind Over Matter. In the current like before the errata, you could just Mind Over Matter and then Blight Witch, and you'd have access to those cards that were on top from Mind Over Matter.
mm-hmm.
Now you can activate Blight Witch and do Mind Over Matter after, but it's there's essentially no current case that matters at all.
Sure.
It's essentially just like if they print cards in the future that put cards into your hand, this change is a buff to Blight Witch.
Sure.
If they don't ever print cards that put cards in your hand, then it's essentially the same. It just makes it easier for players to physically activate the card at a table when they're sitting across from their opponent. Because like they mentioned in the blurb there, like in its set one printing, you activate it, you set some cards from your hand aside and do them, right? Like
right.
Now you just this is a lot cleaner from physically holding the card's point of view.
Sure.
But it is a buff potentially depending on future design.
Sure. I just think that while this is a rules errata, right? It's an errata that clears up how the card functions inside the scope of the rules. I think that the way 95+% people were playing Blight Witch is exactly how it's now spelled out.
Right. I mean, I couldn't think of a Onk says it also changes how triggered batches work during resolution of Blight Witch. That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. Since before Blight Witch happened all as a big like it just vomits all the spells out at once. Anything that those spells triggered would make one batch. Now, since it's essentially just like letting you free everything for the rest of the turn, the batch would resolve as if you played those cards
one at a time.
So yeah, right. That's a good point, Onk. That's not something I considered, and I'll spend a little time like corner casing it here.
Yeah.
Through the end of the show. But I can't think of anything immediately that wildly changes, but you're right, it does. That is a different thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the change was made. Maybe there's something coming up in future sets where like
I mean
it allowed you to like batch some stuff you weren't supposed to batch, because if all those spells happen like in a row, yeah, that's very weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, so
they obviously had a reason for doing it,
right.
And the Blight Witch is a card that potentially made very complicated sequences, because essentially, like when you have something in Solforge that says, I'm gonna use a simple one. So like play 2 wisps.
Yeah.
That sentence, the game reads exactly the same as play a wisp, period, line break, play a wisp, period. So it's like 2 separate. There's no differentiator in the game between play 2 at once and play 1. So Blight Witch had the potential to be like play 1 spell, play 1 spell, play 1 spell, play 1 spell. And that could get really messy, I assume.
Justice adding here, you could fire something like Fireheart Idol in the middle of the spells, which could theoretically matter for some other later spells. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good clean change, right? I mean,
yeah, it definitely makes the sequence much easier to understand.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And they can just never print a card that like returns itself to your hand anymore because you just go infinite immediately. But
yeah, right. Or then you got to ban Blight Witch.
Right. So anyway, I think this is a fine change. It's obviously like cleaning up messy rules situations is the goal.
Right.
And even though I can't think of any that are particularly bad, there probably is one currently or in development that they had in mind to fix.
Right.
So,
all right, so let's move on then. The second card is Grimgaunt Harvester at all 3 levels. Grimgaunt Harvester has a conditional ongoing ability which makes it lose defender and gives it aggressive as long as its attack has reached a specified amount. However, Harvester could temporarily gain defender while at the same time having this ongoing ability that makes it lose defender. To clear up this interaction, Grimgaunt Harvester at all levels will receive the following errata. This loses and can't gain defender and has aggressive. I mean, I think this is a clean, functional update to.
I hate it.
Really? Why?
I absolutely hate it because it worked fine in the rules before. I mean, potential. So again, I don't know what the motivation behind these particular erratas was.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was the case that I talked about on stream 2 streams ago or something, 3 streams ago, right after Indy.
Mm-hmm.
Is literally this case where I described how it works, and now it works differently than it did when I described it.
Sure.
And this was a question that was brought up from Phil's game at Indy. So it worked cleanly in the rules before.
Sure.
And it still works cleanly in the rules. They just added words to it,
right.
Which, like, I guess that's fine. So potentially there's some future case where they want to be able to hold over the decision, or at least they have a different decision in mind on how, like, state-based. I'm going to use state-based effects for this that doesn't actually have a definition in the rule book yet for abilities that are based upon the state of an object. So in this case, the Grimgaunt ability is based on the state of the Grimgaunt Harvester itself. It's in particular its power, its attack value.
Sure.
So it says when its attack value is this, it gets this.
Right.
So that kind of effect, that's like, if this condition is met, then this, that does not use the batch or anything, it just is what this ruling is about. And if there's some case coming in future design, or there's a current case that I'm unaware of that needs to be fixed, I understand why they would make that change to this. But because it worked before and now it works still, but different, I don't like that. And they don't really say why. I don't know.
So, I mean, I guess here's my question. And I really don't know the nuance of this, to be really fair. I'm like, this is the first time I'm reading it, so I haven't had time to really dissect the nuance of sort of this errata. Joel is adding here, Guardian is the only creature this would affect. He says, I think it was fine, but maybe something later will make this an issue, who knows. My takeaway is this. So, like, let's say I Dark Forge Drain my Grimgaunt Harvester and make him big enough that he now has aggressive. And my opponent comes back and Spirit Leashes it and knocks it below the threshold. It would, in that scenario, the old, before the errata, it would become a defender again. Is that what would have happened?
In both wordings, it would become a defender in that case.
But it can't be a defender now.
No, it can't be a defender as long as it has 8+ power or whatever. Once it goes below that, it can be a defender.
I need to pull the card up. Sorry, my brain is not wrapping around what you just said there.
So that the ability that says it can't gain defender comes from it having a certain power threshold.
Right.
If it's below that, it can gain defender.
But okay, so the errata says this loses and can't gain defender and has aggressive.
Right.
But when this has 6 or more, it loses defender and has aggressive. As soon as it has 6 or more, doesn't it trigger this new errata?
It's not a trigger.
It can't gain defender and has aggressive.
It's not a trigger though. That's what makes this different than like every other ability in the game.
I believe you, Justice. I know he's probably right. I'm just trying to wrap my head around
So
how it actually works.
imagine it being binary. It's either on or off,
Sure. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
But isn't that so that was state based, right?
right? So if it has, I don't know what the numbers are. So if it on level 1, if it has 6 power,
Yeah.
it gains the text at the bottom of the card.
Okay.
If it has less than 6 power, the text at the bottom of the card is blank. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I'm understanding. I'm following along with it. But how is this not a trigger event then?
It's not triggered. It doesn't use the badge. If it would have to say like I'm reaching for something that's close. I mean, the reason it's not triggered is because it wouldn't work if it was triggered. Is the thing.
So
like,
here's my. Please excuse me. I mean, I'm not trying to like argue one way or the other. I'm trying to understand how the card functions within the scope of the rules. So if it's a state based continuous effect, right? Whatever you want to call these things, right? Where
right.
the card is looking for a particular game state to occur. Once it occurs, I know, Joel. I understand. I agree that I think this is what's happening.
It doesn't triggers. Everyone needs to stop using the word trigger. There's no triggers.
Yeah.
It just is or it is not.
Right. Okay.
Never goes on the batch.
But now the errata says it can't lose aggressive. It can't gain defender and has aggressive. So if it drops below 6, how does it gain a defender then?
Because it doesn't have that text that you just read anymore. So it's like, while this has 6 attack, it has this text. While this has lower than 6 attack, it does not have that text.
Sure. I mean, I think I agree with you. Like I'm not arguing specifically. I want to understand what part of the rules states that though. Like how does it handle, what part of the rules handles this?
Okay, so there currently is, like I said, not a definition in the comprehensive rule book that describes this type of effect. The
Frostbane Breath. Okay.
Right. So I don't
know that card, so sorry.
There are a few cards in the game that say give target or like choose a creature, give it defender. Right.
Yeah.
So those cards obviously don't work on Grimgaunt now, as long as it has 6 power.
Right.
That's kind of like not here or there to how this works. So in either case, before or after the errata, while Grimgaunt Harvester had 6 or more power, it had its additional text. While it's below that, it has no text.
Okay.
Essentially below that line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it has defender printed on it. Right. So Ankh says wow effects are due to this. And that's true. That's why before the thing happened at Indy, I was like trying to find corner cases where this broke because there was no definition for this in the comprehensive rules. And I was trying to tell that to Fletcher. Like, because there's cards that say like all your cards are zombies.
Right.
Right. There's like zombifying is an adjective. So you can have a zombifying prophet or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And it says all your creatures are zombies.
Sure.
Well, that's essentially the same kind of ability, right? It doesn't have the wow at the beginning, but the wow is baked into like while this is in play, because that's how all abilities work.
Right.
So while you control a zombifying creature, all your creatures are zombies. That doesn't go on the batch or anything. When you play that card, nothing goes into the batch that turns all your guys into zombies. It's just binary. It's on or it's off.
Yeah.
Based on the wow. So the best way to think about Grimgaunt Harvester is if it has 6 power, it has this text. If it has less than 6 power, it doesn't have this text. So if you if I had a 6 power Grimgaunt and you shrunk it, it would lose all that text, and it because it says defender on it, and the defender is not part of the conditional text, it'll just shift to the back and be a defender.
Sure. I mean, I'm with you. I understand. I'm following what you're saying. And it's added in the fact when it says this creature's conditions no longer met, it loses aggressive and regains defender. So
right.
So how, what What this specifically does. Well, let me ask a question. It was always my understanding that aggressive trumped defender, right? Or is it the opposite? Defender trumps aggressive.
Defender always trumps aggressive.
Okay, that's what it is. Thank you. So then, never mind. My other question is fine then.
But
So yeah,
but the question that came up involved that the defender trumping aggressive thing actually never happens with Grimgaunt Harvester because it will never have aggressive and defender at the same time.
right, because it loses the keyword.
Right, because the text, like the text that turns on and off, handles that. It
Right.
specifically says it loses defender and gains aggressive when you flip that switch, right? So you switch it on, it loses defender and has aggressive.
So
You
really,
switch it off, it gets defender from the defender text that's at the top of the card.
so really, this is a really like small corner case
Yeah, there's only
reason to add this errata.
There's only 2 or 3 cards in the game that actually interact with this, because here's the difference, right? Between the two wordings is, and this is what happened at Indy and what caused this question to come up, was Phil had a 10 power Grimgaunt Harvester.
Yep.
And his opponent played a card on it that said, choose a creature and give it defender.
Okay.
Right? So it never affected the power. It always had 10 power. And so while this ability was always in the on state. Right?
Right.
So in the old wording, when you give it defender, that ability resolves and it actually gains defender because defender trumps aggressive and it moves to the back.
Okay.
Well, then as soon as the game checks abilities, which I asked Fletcher about, this happens. I'll read it so I make sure I get it right. Let me find it here. Where's my pin? Sorry, I don't have this. Where's my threads? All right. Well, I can't read it because I can't find the thread right now. But what happens is the game checks for the state of game objects anytime an ability or spell resolves, a player plays a card, or the phase of the turn changes. So essentially, anytime anything happens, all states are checked. So the Grimgaunt Harvester, anytime you do anything, the Grimgaunt Harvester says, hey, do I have 6 power? And then he'll say, oh, I do? Okay, I'm still aggressive, right? So most of the time, you never have to think about that because it's obvious.
Right.
But essentially, anytime it happens, it's always checking.
Okay.
So what happens here is an ability resolved. As part of the resolution of that, like during the resolution of that, Grimgaunt gained defender, moved to the back row because defender trumps aggressive. Now that we've resolved something, the game checks the state of objects, and Grimgaunt's like, oh, hey, I have 6 power, I lose defender and I gain aggressive. He goes right back to the front. So he does move to the back and get defender just for like the split second of time, that like the smallest increment of time that the game can recognize. And then he moves right back to the front and loses defender, right? So that's different than how it is now, because after the errata, he can't gain defender.
Right.
So that spell, you could choose Grimgaunt Harvester, but nothing would happen because it would try to give him defender and it just wouldn't work because he has the text, can't gain defender. But those two things are obviously like very different from each other, because in one case he gains an ability and moves to the back row, and in the other case nothing happens.
Right.
But again, this only affects the interaction between Grimgaunt Harvester and like 2 other cards in the game.
Sure. I mean, the card that came to my mind beyond the Frostbane Breath, which I didn't know about until somebody, Ink or somebody said something about it here in chat, but was Leyline Vermin, and what happened if you Leyline Vermin.
So Leyline Vermin is actually totally different.
Right.
Because it just blanks the text of the card. So if I had a 10 power Grimgaunt Harvester and you leylined it, it would just be a blank 10/11 in the front row.
Sure.
Right? If you there's one other, it's like Spirit Charm or something like that.
You can reduce its attack in a number of different ways. You can Electronet it. I mean, there's take your pick.
I don't think this is even particularly a good card.
No.
Honestly.
Yeah. Leyline doesn't work. It wouldn't shove it back to the back. Because
It wouldn't move it to the back, Joel. It would
yeah,
just remove all text from the card.
yeah. So it removes the original printed defender. Um, it
Because
removes
Leyline doesn't like stabilize it, right? If you have something like that's huge, it
Torgmai.
right. So Joel mentioned the one card that I could think of that this actually matters for, which is Groot Guardian.
Yeah.
Because if you give it Defender and it moves to the back and then back to the front, you get a Groot Guardian trigger because something entered the back row.
Right.
And now you can't do that. But that's meaningless, right? Like, who cares?
Sure, yeah.
But
Okay. I mean, I get it. I understand how it functionally is working.
but
I mean, obviously, I think we need some rules on these kinds of cards in the comprehensive rules, right?
right. And I believe that that they are working on that after this was brought up after Indy. Obviously they care about it for some reason because they changed this.
Right.
I just don't know what the reason is because like I said, both versions worked cleanly within the rules. One, I mean, the way it currently is now where it says it can't gain defender is like
Yo, what's up, Core? What is up, dude?
it makes it easier on new players because even you were asking questions about like why this happened and it took me like grilling Fletch to figure out how it actually worked. So it's not an easy interaction for new players to understand. And when it has this new text, essentially you can't put it in a situation where it's hard for people to understand. So I think that might be why.
I mean, that may be the functional reason because the only card that really the only cards that would really affect it then would be like a Batterhide, right? Because it would give a card defender. Batterhide pushes it to the back.
Batterhide doesn't actually give it defender, right? It just moves it to the back.
I don't know.
And it also Batterhide also, if you can target it, like blanks its text, right? So it's very similar to how
yeah, it gives a defender. Loses all printed abilities, it gets defender.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, essentially it doesn't, but it does. Like I said,
so I think Batterhide still works, right, against this thing.
Well, yeah, because the order that it happens in is it loses all its printed abilities, then it gives it defender, right? So it becomes a blank card, and any blank card that gets defender moves to the back, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm good with it. We don't have to spend any more time on the Harvester.
So again, the Grimgaunt Harvester itself, I think, is a low impact card in the game in general.
Nap time, Joel adds.
And I'm just curious as to why that change was made, because it is semi-easily understandable and describable under the rules. And if they in both cases, so I don't know why it was necessary is the only thing. And they obviously have a reason or they wouldn't have done it. So
Ank has the question, and I don't know the answer to this, I guess, but
okay.
And I'm gonna need a second to unpack it, but I'll read it to anybody that's checking this post fact and doesn't have the live chat. I guess the question based on what Neil said about it moving to the back row, does that happen as soon as the effect is applied or when the game checks the game state? See that it has the defender and moves it to the back, question mark. If it is a later, check to see if it needs to move to the back row and it loses. I think these got somehow sent in separate order.
Right. So what he's saying is, when does any card move to the back row due to having defender? Which is a good point, actually. Because like, let's say I have any aggressive creature. I have raging raptor. Right. And you give it defender. You play the spirit charm or whatever it is and all it says is choose a creature gets defender.
Right.
Does that cause it to move to the back right away? I don't know. And it's an interesting point because what he's saying is it probably, and this would be my instinct as well, is as soon as the state of objects is checked, which would happen after the resolution of the card. So it'd get defender, it'd be in the front row. The thing would finish resolving. It would trigger the game to check all states. and we would see a defender in the front row that would need to move to
a
the
creature
back.
with defender that needs to go to the back. Yeah.
Right. So if that is the case, then that happens at the same timing as when the Grimgaunt would check. So what is the timing order of Grimgaunt saying I can't have defender and the game seeing that a defender is in the front row? Because if it checks the Grimgaunt first, it will lose defender and
Is
it
that
wouldn't
going to
move
be
to the back.
is that going to be based on the Forge then? Because it'd be a simultaneous effect?
Well, traditionally, in most card games, which is meaningless because when you say this is in the rules of most card games, like they can make whatever rule they want.
Sure.
But like in Magic, it would become time stamped,
Sure.
which would be like which effect, the effect that resolves first is the effect that existed first.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, the Grimgaunt would happen first.
Sure.
Which means it wouldn't move to the back row. That's assuming that it follows the Magic thing, and it's also not a dependency.
What about Spirit Charm, Justice? I think that's what Neil was talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go talk to Fletcher about that. So tune in next week after I have a discussion with Fletcher, and I will have more information about you about the order of state-based resolution. Because one thing that Magic also did is Magic had a special category of these state-based effects that were called dependencies, where it would follow. Normally, it follows timestamp order, like I was saying, but if it becomes dependent on something else, another state-based then that happens in the order that the game allows it to happen based upon the dependency. It becomes very complicated. It's like it would be, for example, it would be something like all your creatures are zombies, and then all your zombies are also fish. Like,
Right.
so one thing is giving the zombies, and then the thing that makes them into fish is dependent upon whether or not it's a zombie. So that effect becomes dependent upon the effect that is granting the zombie in the first place. And I don't know if we have any case of that yet. I was trying to find some. But
yeah, so Justice, I think the errata does make sure that cards like Frostbane Breath and Spirit Charm cannot affect it. Right? Cannot
you can still
give a
do 6 to
defender.
it doesn't gain defender.
Right, that's what I mean. Cannot defender it. Cannot
the
push it
Spirit
back.
Charm, you can choose it just does nothing.
Right. Right. I mean, but that's my point, right? I think that's what the errata is doing is making sure that the defender keyword cannot be added to that creature.
And potentially this thing that Ankh has stumbled upon here, or maybe he knew about it and is just smarter than me, is the reason why they did this. Because this is the first instance in the game that has multiple state-based that
you are Ryan
that care about an order.
Yep.
Anyway, so
we got 12 minutes. We don't want to spend a lot of time on this last one, but I want to make sure we get the game started on time.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on the last one, period, because it's been
we spent
the discussion that everyone has talked about for 2 weeks now.
Right, and we spent 2 hours discussing it last week. So if you want to hear our thoughts and opinions on this, go listen to last week's On Demand show. It's on YouTube. You'll find it. Okay, so these erratas go into effect today. So they're live now. Also, we also want to address the discussion around Infinite Combo involving Flameshaper Savant, Nova Core Prime, and Synteta's Laboratory before the Ultimate Championship. We have been paying attention to what players have been saying about this combo. We share your concern about it. Due to this concern, we are announcing the creation of a watch list, which we will be using to monitor how certain cards are performing in the competitive landscape. With this watch list, we are considering 3 factors that will influence how we make decisions about potentially problematic cards in competitive formats. And those factors are consistency, interactability, and speed. If we find that a card or combo violates these factors on a regular basis, we will take further action on it. We want to ensure our competitive scene encourages a fun variety of decks and strategies as the game continues to grow, and this step will help us promote that spirit of the game. I miss a plethora of things. Oh, they go into effect in a month, May 20th, not April 20th. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Brain. All right. So obviously, we're not going to talk about the combo. What is critical in this is what we talked about last week, which is what does Stoneblade want to look at problematic situations and how do they want to quantify and justify whether or not they need to do something about it. And in this case, it looks like they've decided the competitive scene is going to be a component of that. And consistency, interactability, and speed are the three pillars of determining whether or not a combo or a card or whatever it is will be the issue. I don't know on the TCG Denver Justice. I don't have it in front of me right now. We can probably look that up. Neil, your
Right.
thoughts on that?
I mean, I talked at length about what I thought they should do last week, and they have essentially done that, right? It's like taking kind of a wait and see
Right.
prerogative. And I'm fine with that, obviously, because we talked about it forever. I know a lot of people are still upset about this, or at least like very energized about the way that this combo is going to play.
Right.
But now we're going to find out. And we'll find out next month.
Right. So Solforge Fusion, April 1st. No, that's the where are we at?
It's not going to be changed until after Denver. That was what they said. So
right, I'm just looking at Denver and they've got the Indiana information, so I don't know. I can't answer this for you. I don't know when. I'm assuming that they'll do a very similar style of format to what we saw.
Okay, Justice says that those erratas become legal on May 20th, which I know is the day that Denver happens, because that's also Mark's birthday.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, so the two erratas, the Blight Witch and the Grim Gaunt, that will be changing the day of Denver. Yep. I don't think that either one of those is going to have a wildly big effect on the things that happen at Denver, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. What most people are worried about was they're not going to change Mad Lab before Denver, so potentially there will be Mad Labs at Denver. And
here's my comment. Here's my comment on the Mad Lab thing. Like, if you have Mad Lab and you're going to Denver, you should play it, right? Because it's
if you have a good one.
Well, yeah. But if you have a good, I'm making the assumption if you're going to TCG Con Denver, you're going with the intent to try to win the tournament, right? Like you're going to compete at a high level tournament. You're going to try to win. And if Mad Lab is that good, if it truly is that good, then you should be playing Mad Lab as long as you've got a good Mad Lab. Because if it proves to be the top 8 decks at Denver, then you'll get action from Stoneblade that way, right? Like we're seeing it laid out in front of us, saying consistency, interactability, and speed are the reasons we're going to make a decision. Ryan adding player experience is now the 4th pillar, thankfully. Where do we see that at, Ryan? Like, this is another problem I'm having right now with community news. Is there doesn't seem
I do wish that they had made a post, essentially, like they could have just copy and pasted this into something that they posted on the news section of the Solforge page.
Right. Yeah.
That would have made me very happy, because that was the first place that I went to look for it, and ultimately Ryan had to link me the Discord message.
Right.
So I wish that was,
because this is going to be. I mean, to be honest, this right here is only going to be seen by people that watch this show or plugged into the Discord on the day. In fact, I even tried to go back to the rules section of the Solforge Discord to find this post. I can't find it. I can probably search Fletcher and find it that way, but my point being is like, this kind of data needs to be more front and center than just a post on the Discord.
I wish that they had posted on the website, but
that's just some critical feedback to Stoneblade on how to handle this kind of thing as we move forward. Because even myself, I spend more time browsing the Stoneblade Discord than I care to admit. Like, there becomes a point in time where like something like this comes out and there's 150 comments afterwards. You're never going to get to it. Right, like
and there's way more than that on most of the stuff about Mad Lab. So
right.
I wish that this, when I looked the second time after using the link, it looks like in SFF info on the hashtag Solforge rules, it's the most recent post, so you can find it there.
Info.
So like there's in the Stoneblade Discord, there's like a bunch of like categories. There's like Ascension Tactics,
Uh-huh.
and then below that there's like
Yeah.
SFF info,
Uh-huh.
and then hashtag Soulforge rules.
Okay. I see it there now.
Yeah,
I was looking in the
but
actual SFF discussion rules. Sorry.
right. So it again, it would be nice to have more visibility, but most people found it, and but that's where we are. The
Yeah.
um
I mean, I just think at the end of the day, this is the kind of thing that will be better served to have it pushed into as many different outlets that people can see
yeah.
as
One
possible.
one thing that I like one thing I did enjoy that Plaid Hat did for Ashes was anytime there was anything important, um they made a post on the Plaid Hat site about it, right?
Right.
Like they had like a little article that Nick wrote or whatever, and they were very good about that. Okay, so here Ryan has posted a quote. A fourth factor, and ultimately the most important one that the announcement was conveying overall as a theme, but didn't list for the watch list, is player experience. We are getting a lot more data on that factor now post announcement than we had pre announcement. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I could add some comments on player data is going to be qualitative. It's not going to be quantitative. And,
Which is what like quote unquote player experience should be, right?
right. Well, for sure. But when you have qualitative data, uh, it's hard to make a decision because here's the thing that's going to happen in a qualitative data format like this. There's going to be a very large vocal section of the community that hates something that's going to come out and they're going to spew how much they hate something, right? They're going to put it out, and they're going to stand on that soapbox. I've been that soapbox person. I'll admit it many times. And then there's going to be the other people that don't care about it or don't think it's as big of an issue, and they're not going to say anything. And
I mean,
that's just
I don't think
human
there's
nature.
anything. I don't think there's anything more to say on it until after Denver. Now,
Sure, yeah,
that's like
I
essentially what they've said,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
like if you want to go talk about it, anybody like I'm sure there are thousands of people, well, maybe just hundreds of people on the Discord that will happily debate you
Well, and, I
for
mean,
hours and hours and hours right now.
and if you want
And
to talk about qualitative and quantitative data, like I'm happy to have that discussion on our Discord. Just jump into one of our channels on Discord, general channel or whatever, and let's talk about it. Because I did a ton of research on qualitative versus quantitative data from a decision making perspective, and as a use in business. And it's why I would say a large percentage of surveys that businesses use are absolutely worthless because they use too much qualitative data to make decisions and they don't get responses. They only hear a biasy in those responses because of the nature of way humans will respond to a question like that. So, and end of the day, if you want to have that conversation, I'll happily talk to you about the psychology behind it. And I spent years. I mean, it was a big part of my research capstone project for my degree. So it is what it is. But end of the day, we have marching orders from Stoneblade. Mad Lab is legal. Mad Lab is fun. Apparently, let's go see what happens. that's where we're at. We are about 2 minutes away from Ank and
yep, and I just got the they have a game up. They're getting set up, so we should be able to join it here.
Okay, I'm launching Tabletop Simulator now.
I'm gonna DM you the password.
That would be perfect.
And I'm gonna also try to find. It said the server name was Solforge Onk, all one word. There it is. And it looks like they're in here getting set up. I have the deck lists from the event page.
If you want to try to break those down, maybe.
And we can talk about a little bit while they're getting set up here. But I mean, it looks like they're pretty close. So I'll just give the brief overview. It looks like Ankh is playing Nova, Darkheart.
Okay.
I believe he'll be using Circe. He has a
Okay.
Circe with Life Drain at 2 and Death Touch at 3, Army Commander at 4. Greg has. Oh, Greg's playing one of the like alt art Forgeborn
Right.
decks, I guess,
It's a Circe.
because he has the
Soul Siphon Army
he has,
Commander Shadowcast. Is this a Krogius deck?
there is a Crogius in Greg's.
Yes.
I mean, Greg's deck just looks like purple green good stuff that we've seen a million times.
Sounds good, Greg. Good luck with your game, man. Should definitely pop out. Not that we can see hands or anything, but
well, I mean,
we do see a Circe from Onkir over the Korok. Makes sense.
right? His Circe, I think, is very, very good with the Life Drain and the Death Touch. He has a lot of removal. He has Ice Storm, Primordial Slam, Dreadbolt, Grave Pact, and Elementalist Ritual, which obviously a deck that has the Nova and the Ritual are both like
a value town.
Yeah.
Total value town.
I'm just gonna tell them to start here.
Yep, they're good to go. We are ready for them. I would do that, but I TTS is so testy with the camera.
Yeah, and Aqua's like discording me personally. You know, because I'm the important one.
I know. We should know this by now. Nathan coming in saying Onk's deck is scary. This should be epic. Excited to see.
I mean,
potentially optimized Rumble Boy deck.
It looks pretty good. It has 7 spells. It has the Darkheart. It has a Vampiric Fiend. I'm trying to see if there's something else.
Can we officially dub this Rumble Boy? Has anybody dubbed it yet? Can we just call it Rumble Boy from here?
I mean, that's what I always call it.
I know. I mean,
unless I'm trying to be serious.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. Let's just call it Rumble Boy from here on out. Sorry, Ankh, if you had a different name for your deck. You don't get to have it. Unstable Vortex coming down.
The thing that I've been doing that I assume nobody like understands is I've been calling Darkheart Sorcerer the designated hitter. Because
I love it.
Because when people type it in chat, they never write Darkheart. They always put DH.
Yep. So we get a Pax Blessing on the opposite side into a Wisp, making a 5/5 Wisp. Gonna put that in front of that Vortex.
Yeah. This Vortex thing is a cool thing.
And we get the Nova right out of the gate and pumps the Unstable Vortex.
I've played this Vortex card a few times, and I think it's pretty cool. Like,
what's this? Runescarred Pit? Yeah, Runescarred Pit, nice.
Also a very powerful card.
Nice.
I think that's the best.
So we didn't. Did we get it? Well, we did get an activation on the Unstable Vortex, or no? We didn't. It's interesting. He could have
because you have to kill it to do it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
He just wants. I mean, he'll fight now, and he can ding the. He can choose to just trade it off with his 5/5, or he can ding the 6/2 with it.
Nobody wants to hear me sing, but if you want to make that mix, I've got a mix of Neil rapping to Megatron for Transformers TCG. Maybe we'll bust that out for the Solforge community at some point. It's still sitting on my computer, ready to be played at any given time that I want to embarrass Neil. Now that's Nicki Minaj's Megatron, for what it's worth.
Don't listen to the actual Nicki Minaj version.
No, don't do that. No.
Like it is not safe for work.
Yeah,
but
so we see a Druid's Chant here coming in, gonna give this zombie a little bit of life.
So he's gonna move his zombie out of range of the Vortex,
right?
Assuming that he doesn't play a spell. So if he has a spell, the Vortex still kills this zombie,
right?
Which maybe that makes this a little suspect, but I guess if that's the card he has to play, it doesn't save either guy unless your opponent has no spell. So he's got Vampiric Fiend here, which is going to flip the Rumble.
Right.
He chooses to put him in separate lanes here. The 1/3/5.
Yep.
And he has this Vampiric Fiend. That he put in front of the 9/5. This makes me believe that he's going to try to Vortex the zombie. I don't know why you'd put a 4/3 in front of a 9/5 otherwise.
Well, you could give +2/+2 to your Vortex that way if you wanted to. Zima's coming out on the opposite side of Rumble Boy. Yeah, the 9/5 is I thought was probably a Dark Heart, but I think the Vampiric is a much better answer than Dark Heart in this scenario.
If he's got a spell, it's about the same. I don't know. What I just think he probably would have played Dark Heart if he
So
could have.
Spirit
So
Golem
he's
Conclave here gonna make. Uh,
this card is sweet. So the Vortex is gonna trigger, and then he's gonna give the okay, yeah. So he just gave the pump to the thing, and so we had trades in 1 and 5, and then the Zenith reset off the Rumble there.
So Rumble Spark 10-7 now.
They're doing that combat at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, they went really, really fast there. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah,
we will try our best to keep up with the speed of the play.
The Rumble got its power from him playing a spell.
Right.
It also got +2/+2 from the
Vampiric Fiend dying.
The Fiend dying. Now he has Dark Heart. So this is actually like the better place for a Dark Heart. You want to use the Vampiric as the first one to like flip it into play, and then you want the Dark Heart after
Summoning Council coming into play,
so that if something dies, if the Rumble dies for a reason, the Dark Heart immediately puts it back.
And so we see Summoning Council put a lane 4, lane 5 double wisp in play here. Level 1 Summoning Council, just getting that thing leveled up. Gonna Omnom the Zemus. That's gonna make a mindless zombie here, and that's gonna buff the Rumble Spark because of the Omnom, and it's gonna trigger the Spirit Golem Conclave. There's a lot of triggers that just happen there, everybody. That's why you've got a 6/3.
And we have so here we have Biologist, which is really big. Obviously, with the many wisps in play already, he gets a bunch of value out of the Biologist. Chumps the big attack on the Rumble with the 2/2. Has a 2-turn trade with the Dark Heart, which is a little unfortunate because leaving Dark Heart out there makes that the Rumble like still unkillable kind of.
We go into cycle 2 with Core having the Forge here. So we'll see what.
And his is the like, yeah, kill one of your own guys to get +5/+5 versus Life Drain.
Yeah, Life Drain probably a little bit more valuable here.
Oh, and it didn't actually damage the Dark Heart at all because it was back row.
Right. Yep.
So it didn't even fight. Yeah.
Yep. Leyline Vermin gonna push the Rumble Boy back.
No, this is just Blanket's text.
Oh yeah.
Now this is gonna be really big if he can kill it.
No, it doesn't push it back. Yep. I always think the Vermin's gonna push it back, but it doesn't.
It does seem like they tend to print those abilities together.
Mm-hmm. I think it does. I think it does on level 3, if I'm not mistaken.
No, maybe level 3 is it's activate and do it.
Yep. Plus Leyline's just got great stats. 4/7 at cycle 1, very good. Here's
the card is incredibly good. It's not level gated. It like obviously that's very important right here, where the level 1 Leyline took the text off a level 3 card.
We have the level 2 Rimscar Pit.
Yep. So now he's got 1 card to play to save his Rumble from being gone forever.
Why would it be gone forever?
Because it doesn't have any text right now, so if it dies, it's just gone.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't
that's
flip
true.
back.
That's true. He's got to kill that zombie in front of the Rumble Spark here, or you're right. Otherwise, the combo is the.
I mean, he could could give it like +2/+2, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
He just has to stop it from dying.
All right, so he's gonna blow up the Vermin. He's gonna just
so he's playing around the possibility of a burn spell or a pump spell on the Rumble to save it. He's like really investing a lot of resources into killing this Rumble, which I mean, if you're not gonna kill the Dark Heart, I guess you just remove the Rumble forever, and then that's the one way to deal with it.
This gets past the Life Drain component here as well, right? So you're outside of Life Drain range plus burn spell, that kind of potential combo that existed on the 6/6.
Right. I'll take a look at the deck here. He's got Ice Storm would have done it. Ice Storm plus Life Drain.
Herald of Fury.
Elementalist Ritual plus Life Drain. He has Dreadbolt, but Dreadbolt he didn't play in cycle 1, so
he deals 5 damage to the Thunder Sword. It's gonna Ice Storm and kill the 2 wisps. Or no, he doesn't.
I love Herald of Fury.
And there's the trigger on the.
He shouldn't trigger the Rumble there, but it doesn't matter in this case.
Yeah. Yep, the Rumble should not be triggered. Dark
Yeah,
for the
it's not going to
Dark
matter when
does.
they trade, but
And that is the end of Rumble Boy. No more Rumble Boys.
right. He does not have a Stitcher, so he can't get it back.
Yep. So obviously, Core took a lot of tempo hit here to make that play happen. But
Yeah, he's still sitting pretty good. Uh, he's like a little behind on board, but he has leveled up RuneScarred Pit in both
right.
cycles,
Yeah.
so that's like a potential big comeback next cycle. And the 5/3 is like not that big a deal, right? The
Yeah.
Thunder Sword's a real threat. Okay, double Darkheart is something though.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Uh,
That's a problem. Big
he's got a
Summoning
Summoning
Council.
Council.
This is a good answer here. Um,
Just a way to take a little tempo back. Um,
I wonder if he's got the Transcendent Biologist play here as his backup, because he's positioning these things in a way where I don't think he wants to just let the Wisp just eat this, but he knows he can't interact with the Dark Heart, so he deals 4 damage to the Oak Father. He's going to give a creature
so
four.
this is gonna get life drained.
Right, and there's a life drain on the Oak Father. Let's see if that biologist was in that pile.
And he gains 1,000,000 life off the life drain plus Darkheart plus Darkheart.
Yep. Pax Blessing.
And he's got a
instead.
Pax Blessing.
Gonna make a 5/5.
Level 2 Pax Blessing makes an 8/8.
Yep. So that is enough to trade with the Thunderstorm. Still behind on board. Both Dark Hearts lingering around.
Yeah, it's the thing. The Darkheart is really hard to kill. It has 1,000,000 life. It's always in the back row, so you can only like put a guy in front of it half the time.
Yep.
This is an annoying card.
So we are at the end of cycle 2 here. This is the last turn of cycle 2. Core has the Forge here on the top of your screen, Ink on the bottom of your screen. Ink with double Darkheart in play and a 9/1 Herald of Fury, while Core is sitting on a 6/6 Zombie Brute and a couple of RuneScarred Pits from cycle 2.
He really needs like Biologist this turn. Is that a play he can make, or did he do that already this cycle?
No, he hasn't done a cycle 2 Biologist yet.
Okay.
No, we haven't seen that. So we do see a Zemus. This is a reasonable.
Zemus
guy.
is okay.
Yeah.
That makes it like pretty high chance that the level 1 Darkheart's going to die. Because he has to like spend 2 plays to kill the Zemus out of the way.
Yep.
Usually.
Yep. All right, we get the Vampiric Fiend on the opposite side. Which is going to be a drain 3. 6/6, going to trade
what does this
nicely.
One get? It gives +3/+3?
This
plus
version,
4/+4, okay.
Yeah. No Stitcher in the deck, Justice. No Stitcher in the deck. So this will be a +4/+4 when the Fiend dies into something. We'll see what that looks like. So we won't see Rumble Boy played again. Core successfully navigates it, but animates the Herald.
Ugh.
That's kind of rough.
That feels bad. I mean, sometimes that's the best you have to do, right? Because that card's level gated, so he can't hit the Darkheart with it. It saves him a bunch of damage. And you get to level up the Botanovate. I guess it's okay. Yeah, get him, Turtle.
Yeah, Nova's in the discard, which would allow Stitcher to bring Nova back to get the Rumble Boy back out. But yep. All right, so the Zemus lives, doesn't trigger his ability yet.
Right.
So why are we buffing the Wisp? From what? Oh, from the Fiend.
From the Fiend.
Yeah. So we still got Tortoise Colossus here.
I love that card.
It's so cool, dude.
It should be a crab, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I don't know on the Ghastly. That's a good question, Justice.
He's asking if there's a Ghastly renewal.
No Ghastly renewal. So no reanimation of the Nova here.
Yeah, the Ghastly renewal is like like yes, it does it, but like by that point in the game, it is a lot less tempo-y to just like make a 4-8. I know you get like a 4-5 plus another some more work to make a 4-8.
We're gonna watch Zemuses and Fiends fight each other. Fiend
So
being
I
better
suppose if it's
here.
Ghastly Renewal, you could like Ghastly Renewal the Nova plus the
You get a Doom
Vampiric.
Banshee. Deal 3 damage to an
Oh, he's
enemy.
gonna he's gonna throw the Zemus.
I think that's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And that allows him to kill the tortoise.
Yep.
I love Doom. Such a cool
Doom is a very
modifier.
good adjective.
And he got to deal. He did trigger the Slay off the Banshee as well to deal 3 damage as well.
Yeah, Doom Banshee's cool. The Zemus is like it sucks that now his Zemus trades with the Indomitable Fiend bad, but
right. That's assuming though. What's his? He's got an army commander, so we didn't see a level 1 Krogius get played. That's kind of rough for him. You do have a Death Touch in play to kill the creature, but he's just going to herald it down with Primordial Slam.
He heralds the Wisp and Primordial Slam. I think this card is absolutely great. I think Herald of Fury is very, very good. And I specifically think Herald of Fury is very good in Rumble.
There's the big summoning council here.
Get
a couple of Oak Fathers in play.
Because I'm still of the belief that in order for Rumble to be good, you have to have both things that utilize the that turn it into a creature, but also things that utilize the health of the creature as well. So stuff like Mongosaur or Herald of Fury or
right.
So other effects like that.
Go turn 3, cycle 2. Got Core on top of an Oak Father on the front line. You've got an Indomitable Fiend that now is killable on.
Yeah, he's working his way back into this game. We're in cycle 3, so we have Army Commander and
Death Touch.
Death Touch.
Yeah.
So the Death Touch is a little awkward, but a lot of Greg's good plays are kind of good against Death Touch.
Well, so this will be the round where if you can play the level 1, so Leyline Vermin, possibly blanking the Dark Heart.
Yeah, there's no point in blanking Fiend. He has Dark Heart for sure.
He can't blank the column, right? He has to do a creature. Yeah, creature. So it'll be the Dark Heart, I'm sure.
Leyline Vermin, the Unfunno machine.
Just go level 3 Dark Heart.
Yep.
The old level 3 Dark Heart coming in hot. So the big question will be, does he have the... he's got Druid's Chant here. Okay. So that will buff up the Oak Father outside of the range of the Dark Heart, which is good. Gain him a little life.
Yeah, he's still in a lot of trouble if this Oak Father takes 2 damage in any way.
Right, absolutely.
Because that's a lot of resources to put there.
And he's just going to Death Touch the Oak Father.
Okay. That's fine. If you make your opponent Death Touch, that's fine.
Yeah. And then he's going to Tortoise Colossus into this Vermin.
Which is, like, very good math in favor of Ankh there.
Yes. Yep. The Spirit Golem Conclave really helping with that.
See, if he was being cool, he would have put it in lane 1 and then mobility it into the Golem Conclave.
Well, he can mobility it out too for direct damage if you really didn't care about the Vermin.
I just want to trigger it with mobility, not with put it in play. But
he's ahead by a mile, so like moving the Tortoise now.
It was meaningless. It would be the same exact power. Yeah. That was the correct play, obviously, when you get to like catch the Vermin that way.
Yeah. All right, so get New Spirit Golem Conclave. This will destroy the original one, I believe.
No, it doesn't. This is
destroy
not
your one. Destroy what your one.
Oh, never mind. You're right.
I'm like I'm pretty sure that first.
Sorry. There are two versions of these where some of them have the destroy another one in the top half. I was saying that it's not one of the ones that like when you trigger the bottom half it dies.
There's the level 1 Krogius. This does allow the army commander to set up Krogius here. Is the Krogius enough now?
I mean, as cycle 3 level 1 Krogiuses go, this one's pretty good because it's in front of an 11 one. So he's just gonna Ice Storm it to get in 11 damage here.
Well, he's presenting lethal, right? Like, and the Krogius is not lethal here, but he is going to Army Commander into Krogius.
Right, but Krogius is gonna be a blocker.
Yeah, for sure. Do you block the Fiend or do you block the turtle?
I would block the turtle because the Fiend doesn't like get blocked, right?
So he upgrades the Doom Poltergeist brings. He's gonna go straight to the heart of this, I guess. No, yeah, you got
No,
to do
he's
this.
he's
Yeah,
you don't want to put it in front of Fiend because blocking Fiend doesn't remove a threat,
and
right?
and the Fiend comes back as a 12/2 because of the Spirit Golem Conclave.
So this is correct. He takes a bunch of damage. He's like
He's on his back heel here
because he doesn't die to one spell though, right? Yeah, he goes to 1 with 1 spell.
Yeah. It's not ideal. He's got to get that Runescarred Pit going here. If he can get the Runescarred Pit going, he might be able to work it out.
I mean, there's a non-zero chance he's just dead to 2 spells, right? Like,
sure.
Spell just kills him.
Right.
I guess he could have Vermin. He could have drawn Vermin, and since he's Forge, he can turn off
the
level 3 big Dark Heart.
Yeah. Yeah. If he draws the level 3 Vermin, that would also do it. You're right. Not looking great for Core here. Can he battle his way out?
He can. So it sucks that he's dead to 2 of the level 3 Dark Hearts.
There's the Vermin.
Okay.
Vermin is a way to get back in this thing, and I'm assuming we're going to turn off the level 3 Dark Heart.
Yeah. I can't imagine making another play than that. So
yeah.
So Vermin there's good. That's step 1. Now he's not dead to 2 spells.
Right. Show why everyone needs a Sonic Burst. There's Gloom Reaper Hag.
Yeah, so now he's dead to 2 spells and this dying. Though he'd have to have some way to play an additional spell, I guess, now that he's played a card. He's gonna gain a little life.
Yeah. Pump the Krogius up.
He will not get the kicker on this. I didn't even know this had kicker, but
what's the kicker? I didn't even know.
If you have more than 30, you make an Oak Father.
That's too bad. Gonna see a big pump on Krogius here again. So we're gonna connect for 43.
So no, 48. It has stealth.
It has stealth now, so it's a full 48. You're right. So there's the Ice Storm is gonna blow up that Vermin,
which is it's gonna deal him 3. Yeah, the Krogius I don't think is going to get there. I suppose he could have God, I don't even know what he could draw. Like, Runescarred Pit doesn't really do it.
Well, he's dead now to any spell, right? Like, as they go into the new turn. So, as long as he draws a single spell, it's GG's. And there's the spell. Yep.
Yeah, and he even does Boar. He can choose mode of do additional damage. just for the rub-ins.
Congratulations to Ankh on a well-played match. Obviously, had an opportunity there to potentially see Krogius bring the match back. But that was obviously extremely well played, and Ankh having a deck that really put a lot of pressure, even through the successful removal of Rumble Boy.
Yeah, I mean, you saw at the beginning of the game that Greg effectively dealt with the Rumble like very early in the game.
Yeah,
but he ended up putting a lot of resources into doing so.
Right.
And that was at a point in the game where he just he killed the Rumble forever, but he just left Ankh with like 4 guys and played to his 1.
Right.
Or maybe 3 guys in a Golem Conclave and played to his 6/6. But and potentially that's the line you have to take anyway. Like if I had the opportunity early in the game like that to forever kill the Rumble, I would probably do it too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I think you have to make that play, right? Because of the Dark Heart Sorcerers. Like, I think it's a perfect example to me of why you've got to have some hard removal index. Like we just saw Ankh be able to. I mean, not only do they have the Dark Heart with a lot of spell removal, but like just the ability for Ankh to pressure down these, um, these
Yeah,
creatures on the board over and over and over and over again. Right? It didn't really matter
right. I mean,
what Greg was putting into play there.
when
Uh,
you look at Greg's deck, like Greg's deck is very, very good against Rumblespark
mm-hmm.
and not very good against Darkheart Sorcerer, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
these decks, he had the one Botanimate, right?
Yep.
Uh
A great game, Core.
I'm looking here.
Thank you for streaming it for us. That's awesome.
Uh yeah, so he has the Botanimate, he has a Light Skull Bomb, which is barely a removal spell. It's like better at high levels.
Right.
Um and he had the ability to turn off uh the Dark Heart, but in general, the decks that are not removal heavy and are very heavy on like just men in play
Right.
are very bad against Darkheart, because the men in play decks, they use their combat as removal, and because Darkheart is a defender with a huge life pool, you never kill it effectively because you can never put more than one thing in front of it in a row. Every other turn, you can't put stuff in front of it to fight, and
Right.
it just
Absolutely.
kind of sits there. And I mean, we can go back and look, but I bet Darkheart did 40 damage.
Oh yeah. I mean, easy. Right. Like just. I mean, it
Maybe
was.
not 40. He got
He got some good hits with
nine,
the Warstoker.
probably like 30, but it's still just like a ton of damage when you don't have the removal for that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think like this kind of um, I mean, exemplifies how good Darkheart Sorcerer is, right? Just as a card. I mean, it doesn't matter about the
Yeah, it's
Rumble
pretty
one.
good. It's Darkheart. Darkheart is very like rest of your deck dependent, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like it is a very powerful card, but it requires it's not good by itself. Is
Sure. I
what I
totally
would
agree.
say.
Yeah. I totally agree. But, that's not necessarily a reason to not run it. You just gotta have enough spells. Gotta have enough spells. That's the key.
Yeah,
If you got those spells, then you can really just kind of exploit it.
yeah. Like I walked it back. I think it's probably like 25 to 30, but it was still just like a ton, and it looked frustrating from the Greg half. Just like the deck doesn't deal with a dark heart very well. And this green purple had some life gain stuff, but not like the immense amount of life gain we see in some of the green purples. Greg says, "Yeah, let's cross my fingers he didn't pull one." Yep, and he just instead of not drawing one, he just drew all three right away on the cycle he could play them.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when it rains, it pours.
Yeah,
That's just
but
I mean
no,
that's
it was a
the
good
nature of
game.
it. Yeah.
I I mean, this is what we want on the channel. This is what we want for our tournament coverage. Just have people come on and play games. Uh, we like to have the content and we like to share it with the community, get more people excited about the tournament. Um, so we really appreciate you guys coming on to do this during our time slot.
I'm having a weird issue. I'm gonna have to open with Stoneblade on. Um, it they won't let me pull my roster in after the event has started for whatever reason.
They won't let you what?
Pull the roster in. I'm trying to pull the roster in. Let me see.
What do you mean? Pull it into where?
To a Google Sheet.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
Sorry.
So for the remainder of the players, I don't even know who has already played this round or not.
There we go.
If you oh yeah, Greg. I wasn't saying like you were flustered or anything. It just I was trying to describe like just the difficulty in your deck's ability to deal with that particular card. Uh I mean, we've only met once, but I'm pretty sure that like you are just like the most cool-headed guy I know. So maybe I'm wrong, but just seems to be really back all the time. So
All
I
right.
assume that you guys were having a good time in the voiceover there. But
So
for anyone, oh, go ahead,
yeah,
Jess.
no, I was just gonna say. So for everybody that I've got it updated now, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody that streamed games with us. Um, the this is one way you can get additional entries to win free boosters, right? So if you want to win free boosters, then you should stream your game with us.
Yeah.
And there's
More than us just wanting you to do it, we give you a little incentive to come on and play
like,
during this time slot.
So if you so both Core and Ankh have received additional entries, one additional entry for a booster. So it's like being a whole second player in the entry list in that respect. The you can only earn it once. Obviously, if players that have already streamed want to play again on stream, cool. Like I'm not gonna say no to that, but we will reserve like first come first serve to folks that have not been on stream. So the Calendly link is the best way to sign up for that. It is in the Discord. So if you're a participant and you want to win free boosters, I'm looking at you, Joel. I know you want free boosters. Then you should sign up for your stream game next week. That was a really fun game to watch, and I do think that if Greg could put together the Army Commander one turn sooner, it might have been a different outcome. I don't know, but
or even if he had like if he had played the Krogius in an earlier turn.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like if he had a more impactful second card the turn that he did it. But obviously that would change the entire outcome of the game because he would have had a worse card on it on an earlier turn. But
so yeah, but anyways, Neil, I mean, I think I don't know if we got much more to go over tonight. Obviously, we had blocked an hour off for the game. We got done a little early. That happens sometimes. Yeah, they're only 3/4.
Greg says only 3/4. Yeah, he just throws the purple away.
Well, but, I mean, it is what it is. So, but yeah, we'll we're probably gonna wrap up stream tonight a little early. That's okay. We block an hour off for those games to allow for a whole length game to go. Obviously,
yeah, we go long way more than we go short. So
Ankh and Core playing.
Nobody gets to complain. There's no refunds.
Ankh and Core played at lightning speed. Thanks, guys, for playing so fast there.
They played so fast that one turn, I like had to back it up in my brain and like, okay, here's what happened.
I was like, I don't know what happened. You're gonna have to play that one out because
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep up with everything going on. So yeah, it was fun to watch that happen. Obviously, that shows how fast Solforge can be played at a really high level. I think we're pretty close to done with this round as well.
Well, round one was over so quick. There were even extra time for this round, and if people are playing at the same pace, then
there's 3 games left on this round.
And nobody in those 3 games should feel rushed.
No.
Like you still have the full time limit. Make sure they're done by Sunday.
Right.
Don't worry about playing slow for the camera. Like that's on us. It's not on you. Play whatever pace is comfortable for you.
Trust me.
Because we would much rather have us fumbling around like idiots than you guys going to time for no reason.
Look, us fumbling around like idiots is nothing new. So
if you like that content, stop watching.
Yeah, right. I mean, seriously,
you're coming to the wrong place.
Because this is why we don't do scripted content, and this is why we don't do podcasts, because we'd have to actually be accurate. We can just kind of do whatever we can at this point. So
I'm just gonna keep saying stuff and then after the fact claiming that I'm always right, and then people. That's how content creation works.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's how politicians get elected too. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, I'm soon. I will be president of Stoneblade Entertainment.
Oh my gosh, Justin, I don't know this man anymore. Okay, I need a new co-host like now. But all right, well, guys, thank you so much for everybody that came, joined in on the chat, talked with us about the errata changes that were announced in the Discord earlier this week. Going live May 20th, not April 20th. I said that wrong earlier. And just for letting us kind of BS about our week in Solforge. Obviously, a big thank you to Ankh and Core for coming on and showcasing a beauty of a game that was a lot of fun to watch. And obviously, Rumble Boy and Dark Heart are real. That we knew that already, but got to see it in
this
person.
game just showed that Dark Heart's a good card.
Yeah.
The Rumble Spark, like, we know is a good card, but didn't really show anything off this game.
No, but obviously got to see a really cool sketch Forgeborn from Core's
Right.
indie win and the prizes that came off of that. So if you want those prizes, then you got to go to TCG Denver, TCG Con Denver, and have a chance out of there. Hopefully they'll have a chance at them in Origins and a few other places as we go down the line here, because I do think they're kind of a cool incentive, and the fact that they work inside the mod is kind of like chef's kiss as well. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. We appreciate you all. We hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Go play some Solforge. We'll see you all next Thursday night. Take care.